All right, so I've been driving on this thing for about 4 hours straight, and as you can see, that is just pure ice there, and it's probably about almost like ½ an inch thick. So you can see right there back in the back where it's starting to melt. So I'm going to diagnose this and see why this is happening. Okay, everybody, so what we're looking at now with that accumulator issue, I've read a few different times, and I've seen this in the past. Right underneath here, there should be a cabin air filter. Sometimes it's inside the glove box. You can access it from there. This one particularly, I'm not sure where it's located at, but I do want to get this cover off. There's a cover underneath the dash, and you can see the moisture on there. There may be my issue there. And what happens is, where there's a cabin filter down there at the bottom, it's supposed to, if it doesn't have a cabin filter, sometimes debris gets caught in there and gets dirty and clogs up that is almost like a small radiator down there. It clogs it up. So I'm going to get access to it so I can see if that's the issue, and if so, I'm going to show you guys how to clean that out. All right. Okay, so I removed the bolts holding this up, and it's come down, and I can just see trash in it right now. So that kind of tells me that this could be a fix to my problem, that there may be a bunch of trash underneath here. So, and as you can see, this moisture here kind of also too gives me a little bit of peace of mind that I'm getting close to my issue of what's going on. So now what I got to do is get underneath here, and right here would be my cabin air filter door access. And as you can see, it's sealed off right now. And normally there would be a door here that I can pull off. What I'm expecting to find is, let's see if I can get a little better view of it. What I'm expecting to find is when I get that door off, I'm going to be able to see the inside of here, which is where that little radiator, tiny radiator thing I was telling you about, that I'm going to try to get access to. I'm also going to pull this out. It looks like it's only held on by 2 bolts. I'm going to pull that out now that way too, and gives me a little bit more visual of what I'm trying to see. The downfall of this is, because it doesn't have the cabin air filter door, I'm going to have to pop this out and probably cut it out, which is going to be a little bit difficult. But I'm going to get that done because, like I said, normally there'll be a door that covers that up. But because this one didn't come with one from the factory, that comes sealed. So we're going to have to unseal that. And I bet you there's a bunch of water in there too. So, but I'm going to start with taking this out. It looks like 2 7mm bolts, and also to that cover that I took off, that was held on by about 4 7mm bolts. All right. So I'm gonna get that accessed, and I'll come back. Okay, so while I was under here, I figured I might as well take the time and actually show you guys how to remove the blower motor. So this is the blower motor under here, and this is what controls the fan speeds from high to low when you're adjusting on your temperature. So what it had was 2 bolts here, 1, 2. And they were a 5.5mm. And as you see, there's a little tab here I had to pull down and twist, kind of like a bottle top, and there you go. And then you can pull this down, which it resembles a lot like what I call a squirrel cage. Something like you'd have your hamsters in, or something like that. They run around and get exercise in. Well, that's kind of what it looks a lot like. And I'm trying to pull it a little closer. So that's what it is. So when you're hearing that that humming noise coming from your air conditioner, that's what you're hearing right there, is that spinning. And actually, just to kind of give you guys a better idea, well, I could turn the key on, but I just remembered I disconnected something. So there is, this also too is something that can be cleaned out. You can see all the dust that's built up and dirt. So while I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this out too and get it cleaned up. So something else thinking. And when you're putting a blower motor back in, it's the same thing. You put it in, twist it, line up your hose, and put your 2 bolts back in, and you're back together. So if you ever need to replace a blower motor, That's what they're talking about there. Now, I think there should have been like a rubber grommet there. Oh, actually, you know what? When I went to remove this comes off too. And that lines up right there and covers that hole. Because I say normally there shouldn't be a hole exposed like that. But anyways, and I did remove this sensor that I told you guys. And it wasn't a 7mm. It was actually 5.5mm also. And I pulled this down, and it's kind of dirty as well. But I got that out of the way. I just want to get some more access so I can get to everything I'm trying to get to, and hopefully it won't be too dirty. All right. Okay, so I was able to cut out that door there. You see some of it's just broken. I'm gonna have to go back and trim that out some. But now I have an access door, and as you can see, that's what I'm looking at there. Now it's a little dirty. It's actually not as dirty as I was hoping to find it, because if it was dirtier, it definitely would say, hey, there's your problem. But it is dirty, and there could be caked inside those fins, a lot of dirt too. So now I'm going to go to the next step, and I'm gonna go clean this out. To do that, it's really using a water hose, and I'm going to spray it out. Now they have a spray and chemical that you can purchase, but I'm going to try it this way, and hopefully I can get a fix to it. So we're going to spray that out, clean it, and the rest of the water that's in there should drain out on the engine side. And I'll show you guys that real quick. So whenever you're using your AC system, you get a condensation built up. And what the condensation is, it's just the moisture from, you know, like kind of like when it's cold outside, we get that moisture on our windshield or in the glass windows and stuff. Kind of same thing. And underneath the hood, back down there by that where it was freezing up, let me see if I can see it. It's hard to see, but if you can make out what I'm pointing at, right down there at the tip of my finger, there is a hose. I'm gonna get a little closer. Not sure if you can quite make that out, but anyways, there's a hose there, and it's just an elbow, a little 90-degree elbow. And what it is, it's a drain. It's the drain for the condensation. So while I'm spraying this out when that box fills up, the water hopefully will all drain out through there. It's gonna make a mess out here in the shop, which it's already doing, but it'll at least drain that and clean all that out and flush that out. So that's what I'm gonna work on next, okay? Okay, so what I've done is I basically made me a homemade slip and slide coming out the passenger seat of my truck. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to use this water hose, and I'm going to spray water up inside that access door that I made. Hopefully cleaning out that tiny looking radiator that I pointed out to you guys earlier. And I'm hoping that this water is going to travel out to the floor instead of staying inside my truck. So I'm gonna get under there and spray this out. I got me a camera guy here, so he's gonna record for me. Look at all that dirt coming out. Let that drain out. Okay, so I went ahead and sprayed everything out, and some debris came out, but not enough that I would have been happy to see. So I'm kind of feeling kind of like this isn't going to be a fix to my repair, but you know, I had to try it. It's, for one, it's a free way of seeing if this is a fix. So a little bit of work, but not too much, not too bad. What happened was, though, unfortunately, my little makeshift slip and slide that I made out of trash bags didn't work, because it got all my floor wet, and I had to pull off this trim panel to get the water that was soaked in, and had to use a shop vac to vacuum out as much of that water as I could. But it did get majority of it to come out, and as you can see, the floor here, it's covered in it right now from where it was sprayed out. But now my floorboard's a little damp, and you know, if you guys know, that can create a mildew smell. So I want to try to get that dried out as much as possible before I put it back together. But I did clean it out, so let me see if I can get in there and show you guys an up close view. I'm gonna have to stop and come back with a light, so give me 1 second. Okay guys, I'm gonna try to get in here and show you what's going on. So if you look in there, that's what I was just spraying out. That's the small radiator I was talking about, and where I was using it, doing it through, where's that cut out there where I cut that door access to, and sprayed it all clean. There's the access door. I still need to trim that little piece off. And what's going to happen is later on, one piece of that door is going to hook in there, and then there's a little screw that will go straight up and cover that. And normally what you would find is a filter that goes inside there, kind of like an air filter. It's what's called your cabin filter. So this one doesn't have one, but it will have one after we're done here. So I got that all sprayed out, and now what I'm going to do is go ahead and continue to vacuum this up, put it back together, reinstall my blower motor that went right there, and I just thought about it, I need to clean it out also, and we'll put it back together and test it out and see how it goes. Okay guys, so I'll put everything back together. I'm trying to give you a good view of it. So I put my blower motor back in, and right here where I cut my access door, I simply just put some duct tape here. I'm going to go by this door and put it all back together correctly, but this way right now I can do my testing, and I'll seal it off by that duct tape being there meanwhile. So now I just got to put this under dash cover back in, which will cover all that up so it's not exposed, and see how it goes. Okay, so I got everything put back together. I put the trim underneath, did a little bit of cleanup because I had a mess going on. So now I'm simply just going to turn my air on, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it on floor for now, because for one I got that water down there, so to help dry that out. And I'll put it on high, and I'm gonna let that run for a while. Here's what I'm gonna show you what I'm watching. So in the earlier video, I showed you what happened when I drove on it for 3 or 4 hours. And I highlighted that right there, the accumulator. So right now you see it's dry. Now it's gonna develop some moisture, but what I wanna see if it's gonna ice up, it'll start frosting up. If it frosts up, then that means what we did not fix the problem. But if it just gets moist and stays moist and never freezes up, then we're good to go. So we're gonna let this run, and I'm probably gonna let it run for about 30 minutes or so, and I should be able to see a problem if I have one. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll check back. Okay, so we've completed that repair and we let it run. And I started to see that canister starting to frost up again after running for about 30 minutes. So I got Mario here, and we're going to use the AC machine. Another issue that causes this to freeze up is there's either too low a freon or there's too much moisture in the line. So to eliminate both of those problems, we're going to go ahead and evacuate the system, and then we're going to recharge it. So Mario's going to run our AC machine. So Mario, if you go ahead and turn it on for us. Okay, now this machine is pretty self-explanatory. It gives you step-by-step procedures on the screen depending on what you need to do to it. So this particular one, we're going to recover. So we'll look for the menu and hit the recover once it gets booted up. Okay, so let me show them the screen real quick. Okay, so Mario's going to hit the recover button. And as he hit that recover button, it's going to give him those step-by-step procedures, and I'll read it off so you don't have to. I'm gonna walk them through this. So It says connect both service hoses to the AC system. So he's going to connect both of those hoses. Now, where he's going to connect these, they each have their own individual connection. So Mario, can you show us the end of those hoses? So if you're looking at those, one of them's quite bigger than the other. So the one with the red hose, that's called the high side, and the smaller one, the blue one, is the low side. All right, Mario, so let's connect one of them. So they got their own little caps, kind of like a valve stem, and that looks like that could, well, let's take that other cap off real quick, Mario, just make sure they're not the same. Okay, so there's your low side. It's definitely smaller. So the blue one is going to connect to the back. And it's just like an air hose where you just slide it back, push it on, and it'll click into place. Get it? Yeah. Now, a good way to test it, you can pull it and make sure it doesn't fall off. So Mario, could you give it a quick pull? All right, that'll work. Now we're going to connect the high side. All right, stop right. Okay, so Mario has both the hoses connected and he's already gave them a tug. So we're going to go back to this. And it says connect both service hoses to the AC system being serviced. Open both coupler valves and open both panel valves. So the coupler valves are the ones on the end of the hoses. So to open these knob right here, basically you're just going to tighten it down. So go ahead and tighten those to your right, your other right. There you go. Just keep turning all the way till it stops. Okay, so now he's got that valve open. Now he's going to do the same to the other side. Got it? All right, so he's got both of those. Now he's going to come over to the machine and open the panel valves. So all he's going to do is rotate the handle. Okay. Now once he's done, he's just going to hit the check mark. So right now it's going through a system check and now it's recovering. So let me zoom in on the screen there. So you can actually see the number starting to grow as it's recovering the Freon. So this is going to take about 5 minutes. So we're going to give this some time and then we'll check back. Okay, so it looks like we're coming up to the end of this process and it's about to tell me how much Freon we actually evacuated. One thing I want to point out, look at the gauges there. It sees 0 and it's below 0. Same thing over here. Here's your 0 and it's below 0. That means it's creating suction. It's evacuated now. It's almost still pulling all that suction out. So here we go. Once this gets done, it's going to tell us how much Freon was actually taken out, and it looks like it was 1.3. So that's not really a good sign for me because this system holds 1.5. So we typically we were almost full, but we're a little bit low. So we're good to go. Now we're going to do what's called a vacuum. So what Mario's going to do is hit the double triangle there. There we go. And now there's if you're looking at the menu, there's one that says vacuum. So we're going to hit the vacuum button. And it's saying you can put a vacuum time. Normally we would do about 15 minutes, but we're going to do 10 just to keep it going. Minimum vacuum is 1 second, so there'll be no point in doing it for a second. So we're good. So we're just going to hit the check mark there. So it says connect both the service hoses to the AC system being serviced, which we still have connected. Open both coupler valves, which we still have them, and then open both panel valves. So they're both already open. So all we got to do is hit the check mark. And now we got to watch this countdown for 10 minutes. So it's going to take another 10 minutes to do a vacuum, and then we can see where these numbers are. The whole point of us doing a vacuum is we want to make sure it stays below 0, because if it goes back up, that means that it's not holding the pressure and we got a leak. So that's the way to finding out if you have a leak in your system. Okay, so our vacuum is complete. Did it for 10 minutes, and you can see my gauge here. Like I said, I want it to read below 0. Same here, there's my 0, and it's well below 0. So this has been 10 minutes and it's holding for that whole time. So that's positive, that's a good thing. That's what we want to see. So now, Mario, if I can hit you with the double triangle. So now that we've did evacuation, now we did a recovery, now we did a vacuum, now we're going to move to our charge. So we're going to charge the system. Okay, so we're going to put 1.5 pounds. So Mario, if you would put 0, 1, 5. Okay, and we're going to charge it through the high side. Okay, so we hit the check mark. Okay, so it says connect service hoses and open coupler valves, which we already have. Okay, we're going to go ahead and it says open the high side panel valve and close the low side. So here's our high side, it's open, and on the low side, we got to close it. So go ahead and close that for us, Mario. Okay, so we're going to close that one. The reason we close that, we don't want Freon to pass through that blue line. We want it to pass through the high side, which is the red line. Okay, so we're going to hit the double arrow. And there it is. Now it's charging. So what's happening is this machine is sending through the hoses and charging it at that canister there in those connector. Now this should only take about 3-4 minutes maybe, but I'm gonna let you guys see a little bit of the readings right after it stops thinking. I say that. It's a slow thinker. There it goes. So you're seeing that number jump. So it's going to go all the way till it says 1.5 or close to it, as close as it can get. And if you were on this side, you would hear the Freon passing through the hose. You kind of hear it flowing like water. All right, so we're going to let this charge. Well, actually, it's going really quick, so it ain't going to take 5 minutes. 1.2, 1.3. Starting to slow down as it gets to that point that you're. Okay, so evidently it went in. So it says disconnect the high side service hose. So if you do that for us, go ahead and disconnect the high side. So basically you're going to loosen that again.
Do I just close it or?
No, the other way, like loosen it. The other way, there you go. So you're going to back that all the way back, all the way it can so it stops. Okay, so and go ahead and pull it off. It's like an air coupler, all right? Okay. Now connect low side service hose, which it already is, and start AC max, and then open both panel valves. Okay, so it wants me to start the vehicle and put the AC on max. Okay, so I'm gonna put my air all the way up. I'm going to drop the temperature as far down as I can. I want to hit this button because I want to keep it circulating using the air inside the vehicle. And we're good. So I'm going to give Mario a signal to open those panel valves. Actually, I'm going to go around. All right, so Mario's now going to open both of these panel valves. Okay, now you'll see my gauges move. Go ahead and hit that check mark. So what it's doing right now, it's equalizing the hoses. So it's getting these over here to work with each other. Now sometimes you'll see these needles fluctuate around and you'll know what's going on if it's, you see, you kind of see it moving a little bit. And it's just trying to even the pressure. So I'm reading 30 right here. Well, it's actually about 30 right here too. Even though this is lower, the numbers is what matters that are on the gauge. Okay, so now it says close coupler valves and disconnect the service hoses from the vehicle. So he's gonna go around to the vehicle and he's gonna disconnect that blue one. So loosen that knob. All right, so he took that off. And then telling me to turn the vehicle off, which that's fine, but that's not really what I'm worried about. So that's how we charge or evacuate and recharge the AC system. Mario's just gonna put the caps back on the Schrader valves and we're good to roll. I'm gonna go around to the vents and it's blowing ice cubes, okay? Which wasn't my problem to begin with, but now I'm gonna see if that accumulator is gonna freeze up. So now we've done 2 different fixes. So we're gonna see if any one of those will fix our problem. All right, so that's it for now.